Hello, everyone. This is Zach. Oop, little beep. Hello, everyone. This is Zach Stone. Thank you for joining us for our July 2017 webinar on a guide to winning MicroMoments with Ben Polk of Google. He's our agency development manager and works with our team on helping us improve our search advertising campaigns, to make sure that we are performing at a high rate and can get you the clients that you're looking for. Ben's going to take some time today going over MicroMoments, what they are, how you can leverage them, and think about them in the future. So without any further ado, Ben, let's start.
Great. Thank you, Zach. Hello, everybody. My name is Ben Polk. I've been with Google for over 3 years. I've been working with Google as both an end client manager, but then also an agency development manager, helping Foster Web Marketing grow their accounts. So if you do get a chance to work with them, you'll be working with me as well. Today's webinar is going to be focused solely on the guide to winning micromoments. And what that really means is kind of capturing moments that matter. Thinking about marketing in a mobile-first world, especially as mobile has grown, what it takes to stay ahead in your industry. I know a lot of you are in similar industries, whether you have competitors or not, or your niche. It's still very important to stay ahead of everyone else. So this is really the guide to winning those micromoments. But first, we really want to understand what micromoments are. If none of you have heard of what micromoments are, micromoments to Google are moments throughout the day in which you as an advertiser or a service-based business can influence a customer or a client's decision. They are the times in a day that act as an intersection for the what, the when, the where, the how, or, as we like to say at Google, intent, context, and immediacy. But I'll get into that later. First, I did want to show a quick video to visually explain some of these moments, but because of some technical difficulties, we'll just send the video out as a follow-up so that everybody has it afterwards. So let's take this example. There's an often quoted stat that most people check their phones 150 times a day. I know that's pretty crazy, but it's pretty accurate if you think about how many times you're pulling your phone out, what you're doing with it, whether you're, it's kind of the first thing you check when you wake up, and it's the last thing you check before you go to bed, which is kind of just the world we live in. Pair that with another stat that says users spend 177 minutes on their phones each day, and you get a pretty fascinating reality. Mobile sessions average 1 minute and 10 seconds long, dozens and dozens of times per day. So in those minutes and seconds, there are opportunities for an advertiser or a service-based client, such as most of you, can influence somebody's decision. Now, what we don't want to do is, I'd say, be a bother or be there when you're not needed. So succeeding in this micro-moment world consists of 4 things: being there, being useful, being quick, and then connecting the dots. Connecting the dots is one of the biggest ones, but that's also something that myself, as well as Foster Web Marketing, will want to help you when you've gotten be there, be useful, and be quick. And again, I'll get into each one of those, as well as a little bit more about what micromoments are.
And Ben, I just want to add to that real quick. I think that an important thing you pointed out was being there at the right time and not being there all the time. People can start to drown you out if you're just showing up everywhere all the time and kind of ignore that, as opposed to being in the right place at the right time when they need you. That makes sense?
Yes, and that's exactly right. The 4 essential strategies that can help you win micromoments. So I want you all to sit back and think about this quickly, or jot something down on a piece of paper. But think about these 4 strategies. When you're thinking about being there, you've got to anticipate the micro moments for users in your industry, and then commit to being there to help them when those moments occur. Being useful is being relevant to the consumer's needs in the moment. So if I'm searching for running shoes, I don't want to see an ad for maybe a hotel or a fast food chain. I want to see something for running shoes. So you've got to be relevant to a consumer's needs in that moment to connect people to the answers that they're looking for. Being quick, they're called micro moments for a reason. Mobile users want to know and act swiftly. Your mobile experience has to be fast and frictionless. Those are 2 very important things. And then connecting the dots, as I kind of mentioned, you've got to make sure your marketing strategy is up for the challenge by reframing how you measure and kind of break down the silos so that everything's connected. Here at Google, we have great ways to do that by using the AdWords platform, and I'm sure that Foster Web Marketing will be able to help you with connecting those dots and making sure that whatever micro moments might be most necessary to your business are something that you can capture and capitalize on. So I'm going to take you through a quick example. This was at an Advertising Week attendees summit, I think about a year ago. But Dunkin' Donuts kind of Uberfied the experience. They understood the wants. They figured that getting coffee and seeing a few sites are on a list of most Advertising Week attendees from out of town. And so they were using it to kind of promote like time to get coffee. So what they did was they crunched 2 sets of data. The walk times to a Dunkin' Donuts location in the Times Square area, and then a current wait time at each to determine which Dunkin' Donuts will get you the coffee the quickest. Something that you see on the left there is a search that says coffee nearby. Now, something that ends in nearby or near me or close, something in relation to proximity, those searches have grown 200% in the last year. So a lot of times people want something that's close by. So if they're looking for your business close by, you want to make sure, one, that you're putting your branding message up there, but also kind of capitalizing on the searches of near me, whether it's a doctor, lawyer, hospital, whatever it might be. Think about proximity as well, because a lot of you, I assume, are focused a lot on the local markets. So something to keep in mind and something that can be very important. So looking at moments, these are moments throughout the day. You know, you might text a spouse, you might check the time, you might read a text from that spouse, you might send a work email, post vacation photos to make your friends jealous. You could text a friend. But behind these mobile bursts are countless interactions, and these types of moments have personal value. So they're not necessarily the moments when you're looking to engage, or when we as consumers are looking to engage with brands. But then you take the micro moments, and micro moments are something where somebody has a need, so they're maybe finding a brunch place or watching a how-to on repairing a roof while they're outside. Maybe they're researching vacation destinations before they're posting those pictures. But something like these, those are moments that I want you all to think about as far as your consumers and what your clients and customers might be interested in. So this way, you can kind of connect with them a little bit more when they're in the intersection of the intent, their context, and the immediacy. So intent is one of the biggest things. Like, I need to know something at this specific time and place. So that's where you want to be most relevant. Now, Google is a great way to help that because we have major reach across the United States. 95% of all U.S. internet users are reached through Google. We reach more adults 18 to 49 than any cable network. We have close to 200 million monthly visitors on Google search. We have over 1 billion users worldwide on Gmail. and we have the largest display network in the US, reaching 94 to 95% of the population monthly. Now this is all stuff Google can help you with, and Foster Web Marketing can come to us and say, hey, we need to figure out how to find the micro-moments for this specific business through search. Or maybe it's through Gmail. Somebody's checking a Gmail and they've been in an accident, but they're checking for insurance. Maybe that's a great way for you to show up and be present while they're checking for something that's relevant to them. And maybe you're reaching out, or you're offering your services for them to reach out to. So really, yesterday's reality was focused on the foot traffic. Today's reality is really driving action, intent, and more traffic through a digital lens, so on the phone, and that's really where the micro-moments come into play. Micro-moments can also occur on your desktop, so you could be at work searching for something. Maybe you're getting ready to go out to lunch, and you're checking out a new preview for something, or maybe a good review of a restaurant. That's a good opportunity for a brand, especially that restaurant, to be in front. Now the reason I bring this up is just because today's reality has changed. We are now very digitally focused. So that's why I want you all to reach out to Foster Web Marketing, start to talk to them a little bit more so they can loop me in on ways that we can help you drive this action, this intent, and more traffic to your sites or even your on-site locations.
Yeah, and Ben, I think that that's a really important part of this, is that everyone that is a service client of ours, we get to work with on a monthly basis and strategize what those situations are, what the information should be that we're sharing or putting in certain places at certain times. The best way to do that is to communicate with you. So if you're not working with our services team on strategizing and working through those campaigns, those ideas of what's specific to your law practice, medical practice, or what you're trying to do as a whole, then you're missing out on some of the greatest value of us as a company. So I'd highly recommend reaching out to talk through those things and get a consulting call monthly and work with our services team, because there's only so much that we're going to be able to help you with just you using DSS and updating your website. There's some basic stuff, but we want to be able to help you strategize through these and talk through these ideas and work with Google on making sure that we make it work for you.
And that's a great point, Zach. That's the other thing, is that we are partners, so we work really closely with Foster Web Marketing. So we want to help them help you guys as much as possible. The reason I show this slide, because it seems to be a little old, 2014, I know it's been almost 4 years, but actually the Mary Meeker Kleiner Perkins Internet Trends of 2017 just came out. And the reason I show this one at 2014 was because 2014 was when the shift from mobile, or from internet to mobile, happened. So everybody was on mobile devices, everybody was using their mobile devices to search more. So mobile is really the place to be. So if you don't have a mobile optimized website, that is the first thing that I want you to do as soon as this webinar is over. Make sure you can figure out a way to get your site mobile optimized. But also there are certain, I'll send it in a follow-up, but there are some certain tools that you can use that are public to find out how your mobile site currently performs. We usually want to say below below 5 seconds is great to load, because again, as you remember, being there, being useful, but being quick is extremely important. And again, I'll get into that. So again, micro-moments are moments that truly matter, and they're that intersection of intent, context, and immediacy. So being useful, being there, being quick, and then connecting those dots to make sure that the micro-moments are what you're trying to do, which is your intent really, expecting you to understand what situation you're in, the context, and then expecting you to meet the needs immediately. So those are very important things to think about when you're thinking about micromoments and marketing yourselves in this micromoment world and mobile world. So here are just a couple of examples, some things that we like to use here at Google. So like I want to watch from into moments, I want to know moments, I want to go moments, I want to do moments, and I want to buy moments. Some important stats, I know there's a lot of text here, but some important stats are that 65% of online consumers look up more information online now versus a few years ago. So that shift has definitely happened. I want to go moments. As I mentioned before, 200% increase in near me search interest over the past year, and that's growing at an exponential rate. So something to think about, especially as you target some local markets. It's something that can be hugely useful. In I want to do moments, we've got on YouTube 100 million hours of how-to content have been watched on YouTube so far this year, and that number is also growing. About 44% of YouTube content is how-to. So a great chance to be there if you are thinking of capitalizing on somebody who might be about to repair a roof and they might want to see a personal injury attorney beforehand, or if you want to connect them to something around what your business offers. How-tos and how-to content is a great way for you to market yourselves before something may happen. So that's a great example of a micro moment where somebody's looking for an I want to do this. Maybe they need some information before they look up a how-to piece of content.
And one thing that we have in our office is a video studio. So if you don't have video on your website, I'd highly recommend checking that out and making sure that you're adding multiple different types of media to your site, like video, because it can really add, like Ben's saying, a lot of great information. People are different types of learners, and you want to make sure that you're providing that information in a multitude of different ways for people to read and view it.
Exactly, and video is growing a huge rate on mobile devices. So that's something that's pretty important to have, is some video content, even if it's just something simple. We have an offering of 6-second ads. So a lot can be done in 6 seconds. They're called bumper ads. But then again, we also have TrueView, which is something that you can skip. It's the skippable videos, and you're never charged unless somebody watches 30 seconds of your ad. So definitely take advantage of us here at Google, as well as Foster Web Marketing, in using that to build some videos so that your brand name can get out there in front of people in this micro moment age. So let's get into a little bit about...
and then
Go ahead.
Sorry, Ben. I was just going to add one more thing to that. If you are a Foster client, your videos that you upload to DSS do push to YouTube currently, but we're about to roll out in a couple weeks a full YouTube integration that allows you to, instead of having a locally hosted video, just use a YouTube embed on your pages of content, and it will push to YouTube when you upload it. So that's going to improve your reach, improve your views, and help from an SEO perspective. So look out for more information and an announcement about that in the next couple of weeks. Thanks, Ben.
Yep. So again, as I mentioned, succeeding in a micro-moment world, being there, being useful, be quick, and then connect the dots. We'll start with being there. Now, being there, for a lot of times, doesn't necessarily being there all the time, but as I mentioned before, there are billions of micro-moments happening every day. So are you devoting the same amount of thought to your mobile marketing strategy and your online and digital presence, and being there when a consumer's needs actually arise? That's something we want you to think about. So when somebody picks up their mobile device, chances are they want to learn, do, find, or even buy something. whether in the form of searches, app interactions, mobile site visits, or video views, as I mentioned before. These micro moments happen constantly. So you need to be there for them. And again, what we want you to do is really think about, take off the marketer hat and think about yourself as a consumer. So who are you going after? Who are the types of people that you want to be there for? It's not going to be everybody, but if it is, then that's something else that we can talk about. But again, really what you want to do is show up to get your name in the game to be chosen and not just seen. Something that's very interesting is that many customers aren't loyal. 51% of smartphone users have discovered a new company or service when conducting a search on their smartphones. So that's half of the population, over half of the population, that has an opportunity to discover your company. And with that, you get a shot at your competitors' customers. 1 in 3 smartphone users have purchased from a company or a brand other than the one they were seeking because of information provided in the moment that they needed it. So again, being there at that micro moment of when they need you is going to be hugely important. Not being there all the time, but being there when it's most important. And finally, being there drives brand awareness. So even if they're not clicking on your ad, just being there can result in an increase in unaided brand awareness. So some things to think about.
One thing that goes along with that is a lot of our clients are smaller, and there's some competitors in the area that have large TV spend. Leverage that, like Ben was talking about, be there at the right time. So when someone searches for the tagline related to the mass tort case that you want to advertise for, and they're spending a bunch of money on TV ads, target that tagline or relevant information to that advertisement in your local area, so that when someone sees that TV, goes online, and that big law firm isn't smart enough to put their content or ads online as well as on TV, you can kind of piggyback off of that advertisement that they're doing and get them at the right time and offer your services instead.
That is a great point, Zach. Something I have here as a stat is that 66% of smartphone users turn to their phones to look up something they saw in a TV commercial. So they may not be looking up the exact, so I mean, if nearly 3/4 of people are searching after they see something on TV, could be a great opportunity for you to capture that competitor's audience because they're just not being there. So some key questions I want you all to think about for being there is considering most search topics for your brand or category. This is something that Foster Web Marketing and myself can help you guys with. But try those searches on your desktop or mobile, and try to see, are you there? Is a competitor there? If you're there or a competitor is there, do you like what you see? What is the share of consumer intent that you're capturing with your mobile marketing strategy? How big is the gap versus desktop? And how big is the gap versus your peer set? Other things that we can help you guys out with and look at is all that data to see how large of an impression or market value or market share that you actually have. So are you on the bottom funnel? Do you have the full range of customer needs, wants, and curiosities? Are you also considering the various contexts of those needs? So again, take off the marketer hat and think about the customer or client that you're after, and how those people might be searching for that category. So the second thing is being useful. Without utility in the moment, not only will consumers move on, they'll actually might not ever come back. Again, I want to stress this. Being useful means actually giving them what they want. So 73% of consumers say that they regularly getting useful information from an advertiser is the most important attribute when selecting a brand. As I mentioned before, if I'm searching for running shoes and I get an ad for a hotel, I might think negatively about that hotel saying, "Oh, this is not what I needed. This is not useful to me. I wanted something um, from a running shoe company." But again, that's also part of being there. So being there and then being useful. So 51% of smartphone users have bought from a brand other than their intended one because the information provided was useful. So if you can put into ad text what somebody might be looking for and actually be something that's more useful to them than somebody else, then you're going to win those moments, especially within mobile devices and when people want something now. We are in a world where people want things right away. Immediate gratification is really the key to success these days. So being useful is something that can help you in the long run. So again, customize your mobile information to their location, all things that can be very easy to use within Google's platforms and with Foster Web Marketing.
And have the best answer. So if someone's asking the question, what are the statute of limitations for personal injury cases in Georgia, you don't want to just answer 3 years. Like, your frequently asked question should have a little bit of a more well thought out answer and response, and provide some additional info that's specific to that question, and making sure you're pointing them in the right direction after knowing that information. If it has been less than 3 years, you will need X, Y, and Z, and you will need to work with an attorney to do X, Y, and Z. So you need to have the right information at the right time and have the best answer, both in organic and in paid search. It's really important to not take shortcuts. Quality over quantity.
Exactly. Yes. And consumers who don't find you helpful will move on. Consider that 82% of smartphone users say that they consult their phones on decisions that they're about to make, and then 91% of them turn to their phones for ideas in the middle of a task. So these are great micro moments that are critical touch points within a day's consumer journey, and when added together, they ultimately determine how that journey ends. So take an example like this one, I want to know moment. 69% of smartphone users are more likely to buy from companies whose mobile sites or apps help them easily find answers to their questions. So we've got just a screenshot of how Home Depot did it, creating a snackable educational content that's really not hard to sell, especially if somebody is looking for how to paint interior walls. Something that can be very daunting. But if Home Depot says, "Hey, we're here to help you," then that's great, and it's being useful. Another one in being useful is really around location. So 71% of smartphone users say they've used a store locator or a business locator to find your shop location. So use location signals to highlight relevant locations. Store inventory might not be as relevant, but driving directions, all that is stuff that you can do within a mobile device. So take the example of PetSmart. It shows you where there's a store locator. It can, so if you are close by to somebody who needs something from you, make sure that you are in that area. We can target within a mile. We can target within 50 miles. We can target the whole country if you need. But making sure that your locations are highlighted is very, very useful in these moments. So some key questions to think about when being useful is what do customers want to learn about your category or products or services? Are you helping those customers find the nearby locations? What are customers doing with your business or service? And do you have how-to video content to support their efforts? Maybe it's not it doesn't have to be how-to content, but it could be just something that's branding to say, have you been injured, or do you need a lawyer, or any type of video content that explains who you are can be a great way to get in front of those customers and be useful to them. So where are your customers engaging with you currently, and how can you support clients who are visiting you on location, or if they're within 25 to 50 miles of you.
And another thing to go along with that is have softer call to actions available as well. So on your car accident, let's say your car accident attorney, on your car accident practice area page, you might want to have an offer of everything you need to know about car accident laws in Georgia or whatever it might be, so that if someone's in the research phase and they're not ready to contact an attorney quite yet, you're going to be able to capture their information, put them into a follow-up campaign, and make sure that you're staying top of mind and be there at the right time like Ben's talking about. So it doesn't have to be all call me, call me, call me. Here's some free information that you can download that might provide some helpful guidance moving forward with your personal injury claim or something along those lines.
Perfect, yeah, and that being useful. So being there, being useful, but finally being quick. So I want it now. That sounds like something a toddler in the Terrible Twos would say, but it's also what today's consumers are saying. You might not be saying it out loud on the bus or in the car. I mean, maybe in your car you're yelling, "I want it now," but that's just some of us. Consumers and customers and clients, especially in your market, want immediate gratification, and they're making decisions faster than ever before. So what you need to do is be quick when it comes to your site. So once you're there, once you've provided a useful answer to them, if they go to your site, you want them to have a quick and seamless experience. So what that means, and again, as I mentioned before, I'll send out a link with Zach that will be, it's basically a test so that you can just put your website in from either a mobile device or on your desktop, but it'll test the mobile speed, and it will make recommendations on how you can be quicker, because 40% of customers will abandon a site that takes over 3 seconds to load. Nearly 30% of smartphone users will immediately switch to another site if it's too slow or clumsy. So you want to make sure that when somebody goes to your site that they see what they need to see, because you've been there, you've provided them with a useful example. Now you need to be quick in that answer that you're providing them. So one in five dissatisfied visitors will never return to a website where problems have occurred. I'm sure this has happened to a lot of you, but if you're on a site on your mobile device and it's just not loading, you say, forget this, I'm going to do something else. But again, if you can't be quick and you want to be there and be useful, then maybe you can provide call extensions. So in your ads, if you think that maybe fixing your mobile site is too daunting, not a problem at all. You can still be there, be useful, and be quick by providing somebody a call extension so that if they need to talk to somebody right away, they can just click on their mobile device to call your offices and talk to somebody, because a lot of times that's what people will want. So just a couple points to think about with being quick. You also want to eliminate steps if you are thinking about changing your mobile site. 67% of smartphone users who switch to another site will do so because it takes too many steps to purchase or get desired information. So try to implement one-click functionality. As I mentioned before, have a click-to-call extension on some of your ads if you're going to do that. Design efficient forms, and then provide alternatives to finish the transaction. So if it's, if somebody says, I don't really want to fill out all my information, you can just say, give us a call and we can help you from there.
Another option for the attorneys is click-to-text ads. So if you work with Engage, they're offering click-to-text capabilities for PPC campaigns. So if someone clicks on the text extension, they'll be able to start chatting via text with an Engage operator, and they're gonna get the information to get them on the phone with you as soon as possible. So that's another option to get the information across quickly and get in touch with someone that might not feel comfortable to get in a call, but they're okay texting you quickly and promptly.
And that is actually a great segue into this slide, which is anticipating their needs. So if somebody just needs to talk to somebody or needs to text somebody, put those calls to action for that primary activity in a prominent spot, like right in the front. Take advantage of built-in GPS capabilities. So if somebody needs to know where you are, as I mentioned before in being useful, adding location in there as well, but also adding location on your mobile website can be very useful. So think about the customer's behaviors and then try to help them as much as possible along the way. And then, as I mentioned before, load like lightning. Love that. But nearly 50% of consumers expect the page to load in 2 seconds or less. And as I mentioned before, they will leave a site. 40% of consumers will abandon a site that takes over 3 seconds to load. So we expect things to move quickly. There is, so as I mentioned twice now, there's a tool that I'll send out as a link. But if anybody wants to check it out, it's called Page Speed Insights, and I think if you go to Google and type in Page Speed Insights tool, or maybe it's Google Page Speed Insights, there should be a link for the developer access, and what you can do is you can have this page, this screenshot on the right there, of Page Speed Insights, and again, it will give you a rating. So it will say something like, your mobile speed is 90 out of 100, which would be fantastic. Or if it's 50 out of 100, then it will give you some thoughts or some tips on how to fix certain things, but also what you're doing very well. It gives you the same for desktop, but in this instance, we're really thinking about mobile.
And if you send that report over to us, the development team will help you implement any changes that are needed. If you've got an older site, like if your site was designed and coded 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, definitely get in touch with us. I would actually recommend going to fwmanalysis.com, and we'll review what's currently happening with your site speed and everything else that goes along with it, and make sure that we get you on an upgraded platform that's faster, more streamlined.
Also, great point, Zach. Because Foster Web Marketing is a strong partner of ours, we do have an M-Site transformation team here at Google that can help you with that fix. If you need fixes, we have 24 to 48-hour turnaround times where somebody can, one of our developers from the mobile standpoint, can get right in there. And use that, but again, it's pretty much through Foster Web Marketing because they're a good partner of ours.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. We just actually met with them yesterday, so it's been good. So excited to get moving forward with it even more so. So reach out to us, ask for us to speed up your site so we can get going on it. We want to make sure that everyone's sites are performing at the best possible way.
Excellent. So being quick, here are some key questions to think about for your business. What is the key action you want users to take on your mobile site? And how long does it take? Actually pull out your phones, go to your mobile website, see what it looks like. If it disappoints you, then that's something you need to think about and fix. But also, is it useful to say, oh, this, maybe we don't need all these pictures up top. Maybe somebody just needs to call us, or maybe somebody needs to send a text. Something that's a little bit more immediate and less of a branding play, because when you're trying to be quick, you want to give them the answers that matter quickly. So how long does it take for your site to load? All stuff that you really want to make sure that you're looking into and doing from your own branding standpoint or your own company. So finally, connect the dots. This is the last thing. MicroMoments have fragmented the consumer journey, so people purchase across screens. 90% of people use multiple screens for everyday activities. So if they're injured or if they're in a car accident, the first thing they might do is go on their phone. But later on in the day, they might be at home using a desktop. With working with Google, we have access to users if they're logged in to find out if they've been on the device, if they've been on a mobile device. Maybe we can retarget to them on their desktop, or remind them, hey, you need help, let us do that for you. Measure across channels. 57% of people are more likely to visit a store or location when they use mobile search to help make a decision. So something that we can do is we can connect the dots by tracking store visits or phone calls or texts. So a lot of great ways that we can kind of connect the dots for all these micro moments and mobile actions throughout the day. And then also measure across screens. We want to make sure that you guys think about a multi-device behavior. So they might be on their phone at one point, but they might finish a form on a desktop, or might do some more research. So again, making sure you're there and you're useful on both mobile and desktop. Making sure your mobile gets credit for call conversions. That's something that Foster Web Marketing can help you with, along with us, is making sure all that tracking is in place. And measure more than just, not that you all have apps, but making sure that it's more than just one transaction. We want to make sure that we're tracking as much as possible. So the key questions for connecting the dots is, are you measuring for just clicks and sessions, or are you measuring the real bottom line? Do you want to find out how many people are calling you? How many people are texting? How many people are actually sharing an email address so that you can get back to them? Are you accounting for all types of mobile-driven conversions, including those that happen in a location, or are they for a call center? And what can your organization do to break down silos and keep them talking, and keep them informed, and keep them coming back and recommending you to anybody else that might either have a same incident or accident? So here is a quick checklist. Feel free to take a picture of it if you'd like, but we'll send all this out, so no need to do that. But being there, you want to identify your moments, understand the share of intent, being useful, tap into that audience's passions, or at least what they need. The need is really the most important thing. Using location signals, empowering on all channels and devices, being quick. You want to eliminate steps. You want to anticipate needs. And again, you want to load like lightning. And then connecting the dots is something we can do in the back end, which is measuring across screens and measuring across channels. So I want to give you guys a quick case study. This is an actual person. It's not made up. This is somebody who we did a survey, and we asked tons of people out there about micromoments. So this is an example of Diane. Diane suffers from a patella issue in her left knee. She wakes up one morning with pain and remembers a conversation that she'd had about a month prior with a friend who'd recommend bromelain. It's an enzyme or supplement. She does some research. This is 7:38 a.m. at her home. She does that search, bromelain, which is spelled incorrectly, and knees. And then later in the day, she continues searching on her computer before ultimately buying the Isotonics bromelain brand online. So this is a real-life example of somebody who did some research on their phone, found out what they needed to know, all because a brand was present for her, because that's what she needed, because they were there, they were useful, and hopefully they were quick. So here is some homework. This is what I want you all to think about and contact Foster Web Marketing with some ideas. But what are your clients' micro-moments? Are they looking to watch something? Do they want to know something? Are they looking for answers? Do they want to go to your locations? Do they really need to talk to somebody in person? Maybe it's something around how-tos. Probably not I want to buy, but in case there's somebody out there who's selling, then maybe it's a I want to buy moment. So really think about your clients' micro-moments, jot them down, and Foster Web Marketing and myself at Google will hopefully be able to help you identify those moments and capitalize on the moments in which a client needs you or wants you, maybe even wants a competitor, and you can be there instead of them and be useful. And that is pretty much, that's it.
Well, that's great, Ben. I appreciate all the great information, and it was great talking to you. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. If you want us to take a look at your mobile site and give you some recommendations on how we can improve the site speed and UX of the mobile site or your desktop site, either way, you can go to fwmanalysis.com. We'll check out that stuff for you and make any recommendations on moving forward. Ben, I appreciate it, and I hope everyone has a great day. We'll be sending out this presentation and additional information after the webinar in the next day or two, so keep an eye out for that. Thanks again, Ben.
Thank you very much, Zach, and it's been a pleasure. Hope you all learned something today, and I look forward to working with some of you.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Take care.